White feminist voices are too loud.
Wow.
3, 2,
Wow. We just diving in. So this video is Do All Feminists Think the Same? This is a Spectrum video by Jubilee. I'm expecting some messiness and some pausing and some sharing my points and my views. And I want you guys to share your points and your views as well as we watch along. We're just going to see what's in store. If you're checking this on a YouTube, link is in the description box below. Check us out on Twitch because we be doing it live. Okay, and we turn up. All right. Now let's get into it. Let's get into it. I'm here for the chaos. Who's here for the chaos? Well, Spectrum is now a game.
And now.
Okay. That's a good way to do like
that. It is the ability to create life, and that's basically what makes you a woman.
Femininity and womanhood is so much more than just, getting dressed up and putting on makeup.
Wait, is he saying?
The way I feel. It's who
I have a question. What did he say? What did he say?
It is the ability to create life, and that's basically what makes you a woman.
Is that? We gotta watch it in context. We're not gonna take things out of context, okay?
Getting dressed up and putting on makeup, and just the way I feel. It's who I am on a biological level.
All right, let's see what this. Let's see. Spectrum feminists.
Men can be feminist. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I think
I'm wearing a hoodie that says men can be feminists too. I feel like I have to be over
That's
here.
funny.
I think
That's
most
funny.
men that are feminists are usually either lazy, virtue signaling, just want to see tits, or access to easy sex.
I
Oh,
think
wow.
It depends on
Okay.
your definition of feminism. Like modern day feminism, I would say yes. Like traditional feminism, like advocating for, traditional femininity and non-discrimination in the workplace. Like I think those things men can agree with.
I see what you're saying when you're like, there's this performative feminism that a lot.
Yeah, there's performative.
So
But there's
female
performative
feminists
with
are like,
anything.
oh, I only support women, and it's just only about that, but he's not even talking about how feminism needs to support men or trans people or whatever, then there is a performativeness to it.
White feminist voices are too loud.
Wow.
3, 2,
Wow. We just diving in. We just diving in. Okay. Okay, let's go.
1, go.
Oh.
I somewhat agree, that white feminist voices are too loud, but then I think that they become really good at using black women or black faces when they want to, push their movement further.
I agree that it's probably not balanced, and I think
It's not
probably
balanced.
needs to be more equal. I guess the
Definitely
reason
needs
why
to be.
I'm somewhat disagree is just because I'm hesitant to say that anyone speaking up for their views is too loud.
I get
think
you.
That's fine, and I can definitely see what you're saying. I just hate when some of these movements use black women when it's convenient for them.
There's no discussion about the Latinas, immigrant, how they get treated on the feminist movement. It's always about either the pro-choice side or something else that is more interesting to white.
When you think of feminism, you usually think of
I would say that what our sister was saying is something that they've actually, it's unfortunate, it's been a historical thing, even with the suffrage movement where when black women were signing up to, especially when it came to women's rights and voting rights and things like that, and they would make the black women march in the back. When we're trying to join up in movements, they would make us be in the back, or we're still belittling. And even in the things that were happening recently in the past few years, and it was there was the statement was women, but when it came to the things that were happening to black women, we were still on the bottom level of a lot of those things that were happening. And it wasn't like it was pushed as a unified front. Well, I mean, okay, it was pushed as a unified front, but the inner workings were still not equal for Black women. So I can see what she's saying.
Of a white lady. And I think that's still perpetuated, even though there'd be like a lot of Black women behind the scenes doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and often are in a lot of civil rights movements.
Right.
White women have certain
We always there.
rights they need through feminism as other people, but they're just always taken more seriously by everyone.
I'll read off a list of
And that's part of the mindset, them Karens, you know, because they're like they know that they've had that power, and that's why they were, especially Karens that was like what Permit Patty, all Barbecue Becky, was that her name? All them ladies, they kept that flow going of that mindset of knowing how people in society would take them more seriously than a Black person's word. And they exercise that. Unfortunately for them, there's this thing called cell phones that expose them for their things. And then we had a lot of fun memes and a lot of fun things.
figures, and you'll go to your left if you believe the person to be a feminist, or the right if you don't think they're a feminist. Kim
Okay.
Kardashian.
I wouldn't say that she isn't a feminist. I don't think that's her number one.
Yeah, I don't think that's her number one thing either.
Doing her show and the whole like sex scandal thing to like, you know, now she's working in law and civil rights, and she's
But
doing
not
the whole
for
family thing. Ultimately,
feminism.
I think that Kim Kardashian is a woman that has like done what she's wanted to do.
Amy Coney Barrett.
So I know, so I will say, and I don't know who this person is that they just mentioned, but with Kim, I know, because I know she's a controversial subject, right? I'm not going to say that she's not a feminist, but I wouldn't say that she is a feminist, because she does have, you know, she's been doing her own thing. And when she's been working on civil rights, it wasn't, hey, I want to just help women. She's noticed that there are issues with our justice system, and she's working to fix those. And yeah, I don't think that I wouldn't say that she is one, you know? Oh, she's a Supreme Court lady? Okay.
Amy Coney Barrett, in my opinion, is like the epitome of a feminist. She's literally like a Supreme Court justice in like the highest court of the land. And she totally disproves the narrative that women have to choose between having a career and a family.
I don't really agree with her a lot on her political stances, but I think more so as just being a role model for women to be on a level of the Supreme Court where it's primarily dominated by men.
J.K.
Okay.
Rowling.
Oh.
3 years ago, I would have said yes, and there's still a
That
lot
guy
of
went
reasons
over.
I would. She was a single mom. She wrote all the books. She became a billionaire.
She stole that story from a Black woman. It's documented. But I still support Harry Potter. She's, you know, we disassociate the artists from their works in this situation. Because Harry Potter, and for me, and I want to talk about this, for me, because I know that she's a dicey subject, so much so that when they make other things in the wizarding world, they announce how she's not a part of it, right? For me, I had a troubling childhood, a very troubling childhood. And the stories of Harry Potter, hit me to my core. Like that whole getaway thing, that's what that was for me. And in moments, it saved my soul from the things that I was going through. Escapism, for sure. And like I felt like I related to him on so many levels, right? With how his life was prior to finding out magic. And I remember I read the second book first. And I remember I was like 12. I was 12 when I read that book. And I would pray. I would literally get on my knees at night before going to bed, put my little 12-year-old hands together, and pray that I would get a letter from Hogwarts. That's how bad things were. And ever since then, like those stories, it's a part of me. It's a part of who I am. So I love the world, despite who made it big, you know? But hey.
The reason I would say kind of know now is her just kind of weird anti-trans.
Zay followed up her anti-trans tweet with the full anti-trans essay. She wrote an essay? Followed hero essay devastating. The hero triples down on transphobia. Oh, this is 2020? Oh, so she tripled down? Like, that doesn't mean she backed down from it? This was July 5th. June 10th. Oh, this was in the summer of 2020? Ay, ay, ay.
Zealotry she's gotten involved in that kind of undercuts a lot of her other feminist stuff.
I mean, I disagree that just for the fact that she expresses her own opinions, that now people like literally crucified her and really want to.
She wrote an essay?
And undermine everything she has done, you know?
It's just she has such a big platform that when you're talking like this very extreme stuff about a marginalized group, that's really the issue.
Why should women, like, with a platform be forced to align with the mainstream narrative of what it means to be a woman and a feminist? Like, why can't her own personal journey be enough?
It really comes down to not
this guy
that it's an
moved.
opinion, it's that she's spreading a lot of dangerous misinformation.
But based on what, though? Because you don't agree with it?
No, it's scientific facts. Like, she's just talking about stuff that's incorrect. And her ideas about trans men
I don't know what she said.
legislation.
Hold on. GOP Senate votes J.K. Rowling while blocking vote on LGBTQ. What? What? Oh, no. The Harry Potter. Oh, no. Oh, no. Please do not ruin this for me. Oh, no. Cited Harry Potter author's recent letter with critics called Transphobic Manifesto. Yikes. Yikes.
That harms trans men getting the resources they need.
So they cited her letter and blocked a bill. And that's the thing. I will say that I do disagree with our friend here in saying that, like, you do have to be mindful, right? You do have to be mindful because you get to a certain point where your journey is impactful and your words are impactful to a point where your words are affecting laws. It's not enough where you're like, oh, can't you not just share your journey? There's a point where your journey is, I don't want to say it's no longer your journey. It's still your journey, but excuse me, your journey creates waves, and they could be positive waves or they could be negative waves. I knew that J.K. Rowling had tweeted some tweets, but I didn't know she wrote an essay, and I didn't even see the tweets. I would have to do a deep dive for this, and
Trans women are women. 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's see where this goes. Okay. I'm very surprised at this. All the men, I'm very surprised at this. It said they are women. All the men went there. I'm very surprised at that. My mind is just like blown. I know that people disagree and agree and disagree on these things, but I'm just surprised because normally when I've heard the argument been brought up, it's normally the men saying, no, they're not women. So I'm very surprised that all the men are saying, yes, they are women, and the women are on this side. Oh my goodness.
Based on our political beliefs and as for how we see the LGBTQ.
I mean, I think it's also split between, all the men are on that side and all the women are on this side. I know,
That's
being a woman, that
unique.
there are certain things that we have to deal with as women that people who are not, biologically women don't have to deal with. I mean, we have to deal with having our periods and go through that really awkward stage when we're 13, and people who are, trans women don't have to go through that.
Trans women live their entire lives as women. They don't.
Now we got
turn it
Jonathan
off.
talking.
It's not something that they're turning off, and then to come up to them and say, "Oh yeah, I see you doing this, but you're not a woman. You know, it's kind of
How
insulting.
do you live your life as a woman? Because every single time somebody says that, they name the most stereotypical things. It's like putting on a dress, putting on makeup. It's biological. I was born
all
a
it
woman.
is
Hold on,
is
let him-
biological.
let him
I can't
finish.
be a man.
So
I
if
can't
it's,
be
if
a
it's
man no matter how
100%
much I try. I
biological
can't be you.
and it's
Let him
just,
finish.
you know, chromosomes and that's it.
Are the differences just chromosomes, just having children? That's like so hurtful and discriminatory against women, because femininity and womanhood is so much more than just, you know, getting dressed up and putting on makeup.
Okay, so the problem here, and we're gonna keep watching. This is a very yikes. The problem here is in the sense of this conversation, because I'm always open to a fair conversation and fair dialogue, right? Or calm conversation and calm down. Well, fair also, yes, but if your intention is to be calm and have a nice, open-minded dialogue, I'm open to having a conversation. The problem here is that the guys are saying, hey, they're naming like the reasons that they could be considered a woman, right? And the women are just saying that it's just different. They're not really giving a counter argument is what I'm trying to say. Like they're just saying, oh, you know, they're complaining that the men are only saying that it's the stereotypical things, but they themselves are not. They're just like, oh, it's more than that, but not really saying what the more is. Maybe they are going to, maybe this is preemptive, but like they're saying, hey, no, it's not just those stereotypical things, it's more. And then it's like, okay, well, what's the more? You know, they're not really sharing that. Why is the menstrual cycle always the first argument? I don't know. To be honest, I haven't had a situation where it was like, I've never had this women versus men discussing, or where women are on one side and men are like, this is so switched for me because normally in conversations that I've heard people have, the men are the ones saying that they're not and the women are saying that they are. So in this case, this is the first time that it's been flipped. And so this is the first time I'm hearing that, oh, menstrual is a reason. But it's weird that they're like, hey, the guys are like, hey, these are the reasons. The women are like, well, that's stereotypical. It's more than that. And then there's nothing that they're saying. But maybe they will. We'll see.
And just the way I feel, it's who I am on a biological level.
Right, so for you, it is the ability to create life, and that's basically what makes you a woman.
What makes you a man? Or would you consider yourself a man? I probably should.
Yeah, I was born a man. I behave as a man. I carry myself.
But you didn't answer yourself.
To be a man like you. I want to be a man now.
So we can both agree that our society has things that men generally do, things that women generally do, right? If you start to fall on one side of the spectrum versus the other side of the spectrum, then you're going to be treated as that gender.
I think it's a little obscure that we're looking at it as such a basic requirement. More
it's
so
a little
than,
bit more than
humans are much more evolved than any other animal. So why are we still using just the requirement of, well, if that person has a penis, he's a male, or that person has a vagina, they're a female?
I think you're a masculine woman or a feminine man. That doesn't make you that gender. And to try to like deny just basic biological facts, we all learn this in high school. Like, let's stop.
The problem I have is that you didn't really answer the question. And we're in this space where you're saying, hey, the stuff that you're saying is stereotypical, but I'm going to list more of those same things and be like, that's why I don't think that they are. But then when you're asked to say more, you don't, you know, let's take it back a little bit.
Things that women generally do, right? If you start to fall on one side of the spectrum versus the other side of the spectrum, then you're going to be treated as that gender.
I think it's a little obscure that we're looking at it as such a.
It's a little. I know that the guy was trying to explain it, but I think it's less about where you're naturally treated, right? Because that's kind of the thing. Like if you look like a traditional man, then people would treat you like a traditional man, unless you are a female who presents masculine. It's not like they're going to be like, oh, we're going to treat you like a guy. That's not really the case. So he's a little mixed, or maybe misspeaking there, when he's like, depending on where you fall on the spectrum, that's how you're going to be treated, because that's not always the case. But yeah, she's answering the question with a question. She's not really answering. She's not really answering it.
Requirement more so that, I mean, humans are much more evolved than any other animal. So why are we still using just the requirement of, well, if that person has a penis, he's a male, or that person has a vagina, they're a female?
I think you're a masculine woman or a feminine man. That doesn't make you that gender. And to try to like deny just basic biological facts, we all learn this in high school. Like, let's stop acting like it's something new.
Is inclusion a
different now,
denial,
because it's,
though?
like, the hip thing to say.
I think there's like a lot of conflating of being female versus being a woman. Being female is chromosomal, it's what you're born as. Being a woman is a societal construct. They can align, like yours obviously all align. Like you pointed over here, you're like, all the men over here. The first 30 years of my life, I was a woman. I transitioned. It's a disconnect
They didn't even know.
with what you're born as and what you feel you should
So
be.
gender dysphoria.
Yes.
Okay, I can believe that. I 100% could believe that. Yeah.
If it was just like, I just wanted to be a masculine woman, then sure, that's easy to do. But that didn't work. I'm not gonna say I'm male. I wasn't born with XY. That'll never change. And no trans person will ever tell you they're biologically born that way, because if anyone knows anything about biology, it's trans people. That's why they have to get hormones and do all this other stuff.
Yeah, they
It
have to go
doesn't
through a
take
lot of
away your
things for the
womanhood if
transition.
Someone else is a different type of woman. It's a different experience that shouldn't make you feel less of a woman if they're around, or vice versa.
Right,
Do you
right.
all feel like the feminist movement should be fighting for trans women within that movement?
That's a
I
good
mean,
question.
They should be fighting for everyone's genders, whether they're trans women, trans men, cis men, or non-binary people. That's just part of feminism.
I don't think so. I think it defeats the entire movement.
So, I feel like we're back to this problem of inclusion, meaning that you are taking away, right? And that's like a similar thing that happens on the race side, you know, where this mindset that of including Black people or bringing up Black people will take away or diminish the accomplishments of others. And I feel like we're in those same waters here, where her mindset is including them, right? Or if they decide that they are a woman now, right? That's the transition that they're in. Then to have that mindset that, you know, it takes away from women, I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that that's fair to make that statement, right? It's one thing if like, if on the, this is a difficult subject. For me, I feel like in moments where it's not actually taking away, then there should be no problem or no issue, especially when it's not anything that's taking away from you, right? If it's a situation where okay, and this is not, this specific thing doesn't have, I don't take issue, I don't think this has anything to do with the trans movement, right, at all. But like the mindset where I think they changed, the government changed the word, like when it comes to some, I think was it medical documents in regards to a pregnant woman, they changed it into birthing person. And I was like, I felt like that's stupid because tax dollars, hello, let's defund the police. What are we doing? Like, let's work on justice. Let's work on, you know? So the fact that money was spent on that annoys me. Especially when a lot of people are still dying from police brutality and all this other things. We're like, hey, let's change the word from women to birthing person. So that I'm like, okay, that's dumb. But like, if someone is deciding or going through the transition, right, to be a woman, then it doesn't take away from you, you know? It doesn't take away from you as someone who is born a woman and stays a woman and feels like a woman and lives like a woman, right? It doesn't take away from you. It would only take away from you if someone's like, hey, I want to honor, this is an organization that honors women, and they're like, hey, this year, this is the new construct from women. Well, you no longer match that construct, right? Because that's not who you are. If you are like born a woman, stay a woman, and they're like, well, now we no longer do that. We are only for the trans. That's some place where I can see you might take issue, but the stuff that they have to go through to make that transition it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. So it's like, why can't we all just get along? Why can't we all just get along? I think that there's a tendency for cisgendered women to define themselves by their struggles and their parts. Honestly, it's like a fear, right? A fear that they will be, because women already get the short end of the stick, right? And Black women get the extra short end of the stick, right? So it's this fear of that, the little that we appear to matter. And I say appear to matter, right? Because we obviously hold a lot on our shoulders, on our backs, for our families, for our societies, for our friends, for everybody, right? But we are still pushed to the bottom. And I think what it is that there's this fear that because there's this newer, and it's newer, it's still, it's been around for a long time, but it's still a newer acceptance, right? In the acceptance category. Because let's not act like 20 years ago, people were extremely accepting of any of the letters of the LGBTQ. They weren't. Now things are getting even more accepted. And there's this fear that those who are at the bottom, now there's this newer thing that's going to just push them even deeper at the bottom. And I feel like that creates this descent and this, let's cling on to, and mind you, this is not including religious people, right? Or people who lean on the religious, because no one's even saying God didn't, God did. So this is not even, God's not in a part of this conversation, right? But I feel like those people just cling to this idea, and it is difficult for them to find actual reasons why they feel the way that they feel. And it sucks. It sucks. Yeah, it was barely a decade ago. What was it, 2000? What year? Because he was elected 2008, the first time, right? Yeah, it was barely a decade before it was legal. Yeah.
Every feminist should be pro-choice. 3, 2, 1, go.
Wait.
I consider.
Hold on. Wait. Okay. Wait, what? Hold on. Interracial marriage wasn't legal until 2003? What? Are you lying? Are you true? Is that the truth? Is that the what? Okay, so hold on. Let's get back to the question, because I feel like I maybe misunderstood. Tell me I misunderstood. Pro-choice is the decision to everyone should be. Hold on, let me hear the question again. Am I confused? Every feminist should be pro-choice. That's where you can have the choice to have an abortion or keep the baby. Okay. Wait, they don't think that every feminist should be pro-choice? So they think that feminists should be. It sucks that they call it pro-life. They should change the name. It's a very manipulative word, pro-life. Like, if you're against it, then it means you want to kill. It's the whole intricacies of pro-choice are way deeper than deciding to take a life. Okay. All right. Okay.
I think it defeats the entire movement.
Every feminist
Oh,
should be
I thought that was her answer to
pro-choice.
this question. I was like,
3,
what?
2, 1, go.
I don't understand. Why are they all?
I consider myself to be a pro-life feminist, and I think that.
But not even in the kind of disagree. They in the strongly disagree? Oh my,
idea that we can tell women that they can't identify as feminists unless they say that they're pro-choice goes totally against everything that feminism stands for.
I agree with
Is
that.
that the question, though?
Actually something that's beautiful about womanhood and women in general, and something that kind of shows ways that modern feminism has kind of been a little exclusionary, because women come
You were just excluding in the last conversation, the last question. Yo, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. I am confusion. Yeah, so she just okay, hold on. Let's okay. Okay, so hold on. Let me take it back to the top of the question, and then when the statement is exclusionary, but you were just excluding in the last question. I've got math face right now. You know what I mean? Where the math is going around his face and he's looking around. That's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at right now.
Should be pro-choice. 3, 2, 1, go.
My mind doesn't.
I consider myself to be a pro-life feminist, and I think that the idea that we can tell women that they can't identify as feminists unless they say that they're pro-choice goes totally against everything that feminism stands for.
I agree with that, and I think that's actually
Okay, first off, my problem with the last girl. We'll get to this girl's the last girl, because the problem is, do you think that all feminists should be pro-choice? Your statement of you feel like people shouldn't judge somebody for not being pro-choice is not the question, right? And so I still don't get why you feel like they shouldn't be pro-choice, that all feminists shouldn't be. Like, are they? No, they're not. I think that they should be pro-choice because it's about having the decision of what to do. That's what pro-choice is. And that's why I say that the terminology of saying pro-choice and pro-life is hella manipulative, crazy manipulative. Because if you say you're not pro-life, then they think that you just want to kill, right? Yeah, heard pro-life and then just ran. My thing is, it's fine if you don't agree with having abortions, right? But being pro-choice means that you are pro or on the side of people having the ability to make that decision for themselves on whether they will keep the baby or not. And in a way, if someone decides to keep a baby, that is pro-choice because they're choosing to keep the baby. Versus pro-life, right? The rhetoric and narrative and legislation for pro-life takes away a female's rights when it comes to certain situations. Then in some cases that do include rape, incest, and those things, where if someone was a victim of rape or incest and end up pregnant, there are some states where even then you have to keep the baby. And then I remember seeing something where the family members, like if you do an abortion, the family members, I don't remember what state this is, I just pray it's not Florida, but the family members of the man that even in a rape situation, you got pregnant and you had an abortion, the family members can sue you. What the? It made no sense to even push that button. That button is so delayed. I could have said 3 words by the time that button came out. So how many? Some people are pro-life for someone who wasn't born, but not for those who are alive today. Let's say it. So she is saying So is she saying that all feminists shouldn't be pro-choice because they should be able to choose if they are pro-choice? The levels of that. As if it wasn't her body. Yep, they can sue the family members. And I remember seeing the video. They were going through which family members, and these were lawmen, legislators. That's what they're called. Yeah, they were in a room discussing this. Like it was like I don't know if it was a court hearing or something like that, and they were defining who can sue. We in crazy times.
Something that's beautiful about womanhood and women in general, and something that kind of shows ways that modern feminism has kind of been a little exclusionary, because
He was just exclusionary in the
women come
last
from all
one.
different backgrounds and thought processes, and I think we should support the freedom of choice, the freedom of speech, regardless of the lifestyle that woman wants to choose.
If you personally
She said she supports the pro-choice by saying that they should not all be pro-choice. I'm so confused. It makes me feel like I don't understand the word. I feel like I don't understand the words. But I don't feel like I understand the words.
feel you're pro-life, that's fine. Feminism as a movement should be pro-choice to allow
Thank you.
anyone to choose whatever path they want to have.
Thank
whether they
you.
want to have children or not have children.
Thank
or have
you.
Abortions or whatever.
Thank
but
you.
If feminism is pro-life, then you've blocked one group of people from choosing
Thank you.
whether they want to have abortions or their own family planning.
Thank
One
you.
of the pushbacks that I would just love to give is I believe that abortion is wildly discriminatory against women and against people with disabilities. Baby girls are aborted at a higher rate, which is so sexist. And so
I just feel like I don't understand words anymore. I don't. Let me.
Whatever
Let's.
path they want
Okay.
to have, whether they want to have children or not have children or have abortions or whatever. But if feminism is pro-life, then you've blocked one group of people from choosing whether they want to have abortions or their own family planning.
one of the pushbacks that I would just love to give is I believe that abortion is wildly discriminatory against women and against people with disabilities. Baby girls are aborted at a higher rate, which is so sexist. And so I truly don't think that you can.
Okay, we're just gonna do a little fact checking. Most aborted gender, human sex ratio at birth. Okay. The natural sex ratio of birth was estimated in a 2002 studies. Okay, this is per Wikipedia. To be close to 106 boys to 100 girls. So this is saying that in the sense of, okay, no, all right. Oh my goodness. That is only sex selective abortion. That's only one type of abortion. And here's the thing. Should someone abort a baby just for the sex of the baby? No. Right? And I'm not saying that at all. Oh, thank you so much for, the raid. Shout out to Kai Slice of Life for the raid. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hope you had a good stream. You came at a really bad time. we're deep in a really intense conversation right now. But for the people that joined, my name is Christine. I'm a variety streamer.
Hey, yo!
Except for on Twitch, I stream mostly reacts, but we flip it up every now and again. But okay, what she is talking about right now, you came into the middle of feminism and abortion, so we're really hitting heavy right now. Okay, but right now, like, she's talking about one type of abortion, right? And selective aborting a baby because of the sex of the baby. Yes, that's wrong. I 100% agree with that. But that's not the only reason that people have abortions. When you're like, hey, no one should have the choice, you cut out people who did not elect to be in that situation and are victims of sexual assault, rape, incest. That it was not an act, not a consensual act. Consensual, is that the word? I feel like I don't know words anymore because of this thing. You're cutting them out, saying that they don't have a right on what to do with their body when they are a victim of, yes, welcome to our TED Talk, a victim of something, because you feel like it's a sexist act because of one type of abortion. My problem, all right, I'm just gonna take this in. My problem in this discussion is that I feel like you can have opposing views and perspectives, right? But it's not a great conversation when people don't really have an actual, now I don't want to say actual foundation, right? But when they like, what is you talking about? That's what I want to say. What is you talking about? What is happening on Beyonce's internet? What is happening on Beyonce's internet? I just
Can be a feminist who is pro-choice, because these are discriminatory practices.
So I am pro-choice.
Okay, it's not discrimination to be pro-choice, because abortion is not a discriminatory act. There is sex selective abortion. That is discriminatory. But let me fact check this, okay? What is the biggest reason that people have let's look at that. You know, I'm all for learning. Reasons. I guess I'll put abortion reasons. I don't know how to research what I'm trying to look. Reasons US women. We'll go by that. And this is by an institute, right? What is the highest reasons? Not methods. I don't need to see methods. I just need to know reasons. Okay, in 2004, which we don't have anything more recent than that. The two most common reasons for one were having a baby would dramatically change my life. It's not discrimination against sex. And then I can't afford a baby right now, which is also not discrimination against sex. As far as the biggest reasons are unreadiness for a child or the inability to afford a child. And then I'm sure after that are victims. And I say, you know what, not sure. I theorize that after that is victims and then sexual selective. I feel like people who, how do I say this? I hate when people make decisions that count out people who are extremely negatively affected by the decision that you're making.
I feel like somebody should have whatever type of choice that they want to make. They should
Amen.
have an equal say as far as, hey, this is my body. I want to be able to have an abortion, or just as equally, I want to say I'm going to have this baby.
Right.
So, and I do believe it's 100% up to the woman.
100.
Feminists should probably be more aligned with giving someone their own choice.
Give them the choice.
Menstrual products should be free. 3, 2, 1, go.
I have to hold my breath. Okay, I'm done. I'm legitimately done. And listen, this particular thing, I'm like so confused. I'm so confused. Are they getting paid? I gotta hear the reasons. Oh, there's reasons. Oh, they don't believe that we should have a choice on what to do with our body. And again, I do want to preface that, you know what? It's a choice. Have the choice that you want to have, you know? Being pro-choice does not mean that you hate God. Let me just say that, okay? Okay, let me just press play. I don't like...
Being able to provide, for example,
Hold on. I want to mention that this is way worse than that pimple nastiness that we watched. This is way worse than that, bruh.
Just being able to provide, for example, on the low-income school, you know, there's a lot of girls that cannot afford them, you know, and they're ashamed to ask for it.
I mean, I personally believe that anything that you didn't, I guess, ask for, like menstrual
You don't have a
cycles, or
choice.
even, I mean, if we get into healthcare,
Yeah,
that should all be added on.
I believe that
Right.
everyone should be compensated for their labor, and I believe that creating and producing menstrual products, it's a
get this woman off my screen. Okay, just because you didn't pay for it doesn't mean that they don't get their money. Okay? So we're not saying that they shouldn't get paid. Okay? No estamos diciendo que no deben recibir el dinero por haciendo, you know, no sé, el trabajo, ¿ok? Estamos diciendo que la gente que tener que aguantar algo cada mes no deben pagar por eso. Eso es lo que estamos diciendo. Las personas que están trabajando, sí, necesitan recibir pago para vivir. No puedo en este momento porque esa mujer no está pensando en qué está diciendo. Like, sorry. We are not saying that the people shouldn't get paid for their work. We are not saying that people should not get paid for working. We are saying that la gente, us, the people, shouldn't have to pay, pagar, for something that they have to aguantar, like go through, or tolerate, or deal with, cada mes, which is every month. Desde 12 años, like from 12 years old, hasta, 50, like 50 years old? When do you have your menopause? 50? Around 50, 55? Around there? So we're saying that within that time, I shouldn't pay for it. The government should pay for it. Them tax monies that they use to change our name from birthing woman to birthing person, they should use that to make sure that we shouldn't have to pay for pads. And that is just expensive. And then it's like, there's so many different kinds and we're all different, right? And I buy black owned. I buy Honey Pot. Honey Pot ain't cheap. And it's the most amazing for someone like me who has curves, thick thighs, needs my vagina to breathe, all right? They're the best. We shouldn't have to pay for that. We shouldn't have to pay for that. It should be included. I already pay for healthcare. It should be included. Excuse me. Just like they do for your coat, like, I think you get one free physical a year, right? And you get one free You get a free Giny visit in the year. Included in that should be, where can you buy Honey Pot? You could buy it on Amazon or Target. Target has it. Target, listen, Target be holding us down for our Black culture when it comes to for stores. I know people were robbing Targets and stuff like that, looting Targets during the pandemic. Actually, that's a larger thing. So forget I even said that. That's a whole list of things, right? But Target, they are one store that I know. I don't know any other store, any other major corporated store that carries as many Black-owned brands in many, like, not just hair, but hair, food items, like food that you can eat, food brands, right? But also, like, there's one that I just saw the other day where it was like a food appliance brand, right? Baby, so you can go to Target. That's a long story short. This is giving me, I hope that relaxation video is gonna be good. Let's just.
People should get paid.
Well, nobody's saying that they won't get paid.
Thank you.
Because, like you
This is
said,
my
you were
man.
born
Hi,
a woman.
Jonathan.
You didn't ask to have periods, so now
Thank
you
you.
have to go out and pay taxes on.
Why is it? I don't understand why he's the one that has to, like, why? Like, I'm grateful for him, right? This is not me in any way taking away or diminishing the knowledge that he's trying to impart on them. But, like, this is the Twilight Zone. Why is it that he is to be the one that has to say that? No lo entiendo. No lo entiendo lo que estoy mirando en este momento.
You
No
have to pay
lo.
more taxes than I do because I don't have to buy
They don't have to buy
tampons or
tampons, yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Is this like a pandemic of women like bleeding through their clothes or something? Because I've worked with low-income families. This is never an issue I've ever heard other than on social media. Now,
This is dangerous territory to assume that. Okay, I'm gonna have to take the chat bot back because this video is going on YouTube and y'all are forgetting that with the stuff that y'all are typing. So I'm just gonna take it off for this video. I'll bring it back up for the next video. That made me so angry. I wanted to cry because it's dangerous territory. Like, the lady just told you about the experience that she knows from low-income families. And then for you to follow it up with, oh, it's just on social media, just because it's not your experience and you've worked with low-income. So that means you ain't from there, right? Which, you know, live your best life. I'm not saying that Black people need to struggle, all right? We've had enough in our history that if from here on out we was just winning, we deserve that ish, right? But the fact that that lady just told you about how she knows a lot of situations of girls that have been through that, right? That, and they're afraid to ask. And then for you to be like, is that really a thing? Yes, it's a thing. Yes, it's a thing of, like, and it's like even in the common sense aspect, when you're low income and you're on a limited fixed income and you can only afford so many things, right, in a month and pay bills on a certain amount that you receive, it is a very possible, like, even if you don't know what the particular thing is, it is very possible to assume that certain needs are probably not met. And you can assume that periods could fall under that need that's not met, as far as having proper like pads and stuff to protect yourself. You know, you could just assume that's like 1 and 1. That equals 2, bruh. Like, you could, if kids are out there starving, right? You think that the mother's like, well, hey, we can't buy food, but let's go buy these pads? Like, really? This is dangerous. That's a dangerous mindset. Dangerous mindset.
are there instances, or may there be segments in people's lives where they need like things, or they need help, or they need the community to get behind them? Absolutely. But I don't think it's this huge crisis that everybody is making it out to be. I just have not seen it.
Okay, to be like it's this huge overarching crisis that's taking over. Okay, that you can say that that's as far as the list of crises that exist, it's probably not the top of the list, right? There's starvation, hunger, homelessness, I'm sure is a larger crisis, right? I'm sure 100% a larger crisis. But when the argument is, hey, it should be free because of low income, and that's your rebuttal, that's the danger. That's the danger. That's the danger. Yeah, the comments crazy. That's down there. I don't know if I want to look down there today.
Every woman should be a feminist. 3, 2,
I'm afraid
1,
to look.
Go.
Once again, I feel like that kind of goes against everything that feminism stands for by saying that a woman has to think a certain way.
Every woman should be a feminist instead of every woman has to be a feminist. That's kind of why I went to the strongly
right,
agree.
Should be.
Yes, you should be a feminist if you're a woman because you should want equal rights.
It's equal rights.
I think people have really misinterpreted the
right.
word feminism, know, but most women should be feminist, but they are. I think to me they are. I don't know any woman that it's not a feminist. But
I know some that ain't a feminist.
Extreme feminism. Like, for example, I like to serve my husband. That's something I like. That doesn't make me not a feminist. That's who I am. He likes to do other things, like change my tires. I will never do that. That doesn't mean I'm not a feminist,
Right, exactly. So, okay, I do feel like now we're going to take extreme, because there's extreme feminism, right? Because I do feel like, and I'll stand on the cross for this. People can come for me if you want to, and we can have a conversation if you want to. Fair conversation, right? I do feel like there are extremes. There are extremes in every spectrum, right? There are extremes on the feminist side. There are extremes on the masculine side. There's toxic feminism. There's toxic masculinity or men's activists, right? There's toxicity there. And to say that those things do not exist means you are turning a blind eye, right? They do exist. And there are extremes in everything. But to say, hey, as far as being one, you don't just automatically jump to the extremist, right? Being a feminist doesn't mean that you have to be at that extreme. And to like the intricacies of what it means to be a feminist, I can agree that there are extremes. There are things that the terms get blurred and mixed. I do agree that if you cook a meal, right, and you cook for your family, that doesn't mean that you're not a feminist. If you give your husband food, that doesn't mean that you're not a feminist. If your husband does change the tires or takes the car and the oil to get changed, it doesn't mean that you're not a feminist. In fact, when feminism was made, I'm sure that it wasn't about fixing tires. Well, I'm not going to say that. That might be a dumb statement, because they probably were like, hey, I should be able to fix my own tires. My husband shouldn't. It's all about having the choice. Feminism is about having the choice. You have yet to see toxic feminism in a society predicated. That's no. So there is toxic feminism. There is toxic feminism. I get they had to have people who opposed, but give real reasons. That's the other thing. Oh wait, I love extreme feminism. I think we should bring men down to their knees, but I'll calm down. Yes, please calm down. That, Destiny, you bring up my biggest point, my biggest thing. I'm for if you stand on different sides of the street, have a fair conversation. But I feel like they didn't give real reasons, or even good reasons when they gave a reason. Like, especially on the pad thing, when she said that she believes people should get paid for their work, I feel like they're not listening to the question, because the question was, should they be free? And she's like, she just really went to, okay, that means they're not going to get paid. No, the question is about whether you should pay for them, not whether they should or should not get paid. And the thing is, in these spectrums, you can say, yes, I think it should be free, but I think that these people should still get paid for the work they're doing. You can say that. I feel like they live the some of these women that are in here, because the Spanish when she was moving back and forth, you know? So these two that we see right here, they live in a world of absolutes. And that's a problem. Like, oh, should they be free? They're like, boom. No, it shouldn't be free because then people aren't going to get paid. No, that's not what that means. That's not what that means. Should all feminists be pro-choice? Boom. No, because then that means that there's a sexist agenda, that they're supporting a sexist agenda against aborting the sex selective abortion, right? Which she didn't know the phrase. That's something we found out, right? And there's more to it than that. You can have a choice. The pro-choice means having a choice. If you take that away, that means you don't have a choice. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. They're Siths. Yeah. So that's a good example. Is shaming a woman for doing something feminine that she genuinely enjoys, or doing something that's non-feminine that she genuinely enjoys, and shaming her for it. Are we attributing femininity specifically to cisgendered women? Femininity? Why can't I say the word? Femininity. Let's look at the definition. Femininity. I'm just so thrown by this episode, really. Qualities or attributes regarded as characteristics. No, because feminine, you can be like presenting feminine or presenting masculine, you know? I think that's not just cisgendered. No. Did you spell it wrong? No, that's fine. Even if you spelled it right. Femininity. It can be a word that trips up your tongue. No, I'm not. I would not be attributing it to just cisgendered. This reminds me of that Twitter post that they were like, they like waffles, but then someone turns around and say, "Oh, you don't like pancakes?" Like that's the whole new. Yes. That's. I mean, it's a simpler form of it, and I appreciate that you took that route because that's how they approached it. They approached it like you saying you're for something means you're absolutely against, and this is not the case where that's the thing, right? This is not the case where that's the thing. I feel like it's 2 a.m., bro. How did we still end up late? How long have we been streaming? This is your guys' fault, not mine. 4 hours? How did this happen? What happens when I come here? I do not understand. Oh, bye, Bree. I think we're just gonna have to end here. We don't even get to do the relaxation video today because I mean this was frustrating. I'll be honest. This video was frustrating. Oh yeah, we did watch that man fall down the steps a bunch of times. That's why that you're right. That video had the run it back moments, a bunch of run it back moments. But for this video, this was frustrating because I do feel like there was an inability to have a real conversation, you know? I feel like middle ground might more so be the thing I like because I feel like more real conversation happens there. Although it is kind of the same thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. But I don't know, the conversations that happen there seem to be more middle ground of like understanding and things like that. Whereas this one was definitely more charged, and this hurt my brain. Like when they said the pro-choice thing and all the men were on one side and the women were on the other side, and then with the tampons being free and all that stuff and the men on one side and the women on the other side, when it should honestly be flipped. It's we can all have different opinions. I want to leave the video by saying we can all have different opinions, but we have to be more honest with ourselves about why we have these opinions and do more research about why we have these opinions and what our opinions are. And and try to be more understanding of the questions that are being asked. I feel like this wasn't even a talk through, because you know how we've done some videos and we're like, people are talking through their trauma, right? This wasn't that. There was misguidedness in this. And I feel like you can't live or work in absolutes in situations like this. I cannot with 100% of a doubt, I cannot 100% say that there is absolutely no time you would ever have work in absolutes or not work in absolutes, right? Because it kind of defeats the purpose, right? There are probably reasons or moments where living in absolutes work, right? Or benefit. I can't think of any right now, but I'm sure it exists. This is not the place. But like these questions that were asked are not the place. Because you discount the pro-choice thing. Really threw me for a loop, bro. And then even the tampons thing. You gotta be mindful of people who aren't you, who don't live like you, who don't have the same access as you, who don't have the same privileges as you. You got to keep them in mind, because we tend to be there a lot of the times. Black folk, we tend to be there, the ones that are counted out. When decisions are made, we're normally counted out. So when I see that kind of happening to other people for unfounded reasons, or reasons that don't make sense to me, it can be frustrating. I'll leave it there. We'll see what these comments look like under my video. I'm not going to look at the comments under this video, but let me know your thoughts. And I'm open to conversation. I want fairness all around. I don't want that if you see someone that was like, hey, if no one's being disrespectful, then nobody be disrespectful to the other. That's what I want. You can share your opinions. They can be differing, right? That's fine. Feel free to share your opinion on where you fall in these conversations, these topics, but there has to be respect, no matter where you fall. And if you see somebody, don't harangue somebody if they're not being disrespectful. You can respectfully share your differing opinion. I mean, in the stream, we're in the same page, but on YouTube, it's a wider, broader thing. So it could be different. I'm not gonna lie, this ish hurt my heart. I gotta go.